Hello? Your Health is Calling, where holistic health meets practical solutions for your well-being. With your host, speaker, New York Times bestselling author, Sue Kostyk, a seasoned holistic health practitioner and longevity coach. Join Sue each week to embark on a journey to uncover the root causes of your health concerns. Through a personalized approach, learn how to decode the messages your body is sending and craft natural protocols to address them. Call in live at 888-994-4995 Studio A.
Good morning and welcome to Hello, Your Health is Calling. I'm Sue Kostyk. I am an integrative health practitioner. And in integrative health, our practice is to get to the root cause of your symptoms. Why are these things happening and how can we get rid of the symptoms and what is causing them? It's not a Band-Aid approach. It's actually a root cause approach, a very deep dive, and we use functional lab testing, which are very simple at-home labs that dive super deep into the reasons why you're having the symptoms you are. And last week, we started a discussion about symptoms and why they matter. And a lot of times they're connected to things that are in your body that aren't quite associated with the symptom. That sometimes you get a symptom and it just leads to a different issue that's going on in your body. And why does symptoms matter? You know, your body's not messing up. It's not attacking you. I hear from so many people that, oh, my body hates me. It's messing up. It's not. These symptoms are a messaging. And in the beginning of the show, we talk about, in my intro, we talk about decoding the messages your body's giving you. And that is exactly what we are going to talk about today. I'm super excited. I have a guest today, and she is a dear friend. And also, she is a Reiki master. She has a master's in physical therapy. She does craniosacral therapy. And what I want to talk about today is why your symptoms kind of get stuck with you. And there's a lot of different reasons. You know, our bodies were created holistically. We are one being. And what does that mean? That means that every organ in your body, every system in your body is all interconnected. And that goes along with your mind. And we talk a ton about mindset in my practice because, you know, if you can't change your mind, you can't really change what's going on in your body, in your life. And so we're going to talk about, some different modalities and reasons why symptoms get stuck. And when those symptoms get stuck, many times it leads to chronic illness. It leads to issues such as anxiety and depression, and even some autoimmune issues. So I want to bring on my dear friend, Marci, and we're just going to have a talk. Hi, Marci. Thank you
Hello,
so
Sue.
much. I mean, look at, she's in her car in a park. She's like dropping everything from her busy schedule to be on my show. And I am just so appreciative of that because this topic, you know, we talked about it, oh gosh, I want to say in the summer, maybe in July. And again, if anybody needs to go back and review some of these series, you can go to YouTube at the Reinvented Life Network, and they all live in there. You just go to YouTube and you can find them. So, Marci, let's talk about, first of all, I want for you to maybe take a couple minutes and talk about Reiki, talk about craniosacral therapies, and what that is. And then we'll talk about the symptom part of it.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for asking me. When you asked me the other day, I couldn't say no to you. And my day with patients, being a home care physical therapist, the scheduling is on me, so I made it work. So it's my pleasure to be here and help others because I so believe that, like you were talking about, our body is so important to take care of, but there's such a connection between a healthy mind, spirit, and body. And so that's why I've been doing physical therapy for years. but I got into the Reiki, the Cranio, the life coaching, the holistic nutrition, because it's all incorporated. It's one circle to take care of our one body. So Reiki, people ask me if is Reiki like Cranio? No, in that Reiki is energy healing. So what Reiki is, we have 7 major chakras or energy centers in our body. And if they are restricted or not working properly, like you said, the body is one, uh, it throws off how our body is working, how our body is efficient, how our body is digesting, metabolizing, all of that. And so, as a Reiki master, I am actually a conduit to God or source and getting messages through God or source when I work with people with Reiki. Some Reiki practitioners put their hands on clients, some do not. It's a matter of preference. But people say, do you really get messages? Yes, as being intuitive and empathic, I feel other people, their emotions, their pains, what they're going through. And so when I'm doing Reiki on someone, sometimes I'll get a pain in my back scapula, my left scapula, or in my knee. And as a Reiki master, I have this white bubble, it sounds silly, around me so I don't take on their pain or their negative energy, but I can feel it and work with it. So Reiki is energy work, energy healing. When I do craniosacral, and I'll give you my elevator speech because it's very long
Yeah.
if you had the time. Craniosacral is a light touch modality. So when I have my hands on someone, it is the pressure of a nickel. So people don't even really feel it. And what it is, it's a light touch modality that works on releasing blocks and restrictions in our body caused by, and this goes so with what you're saying, events or trauma, physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, that our body is holding on to. And we say non-consciously because it's deeper than subconscious, because who wants to recreate these traumas? Who wants to go there? Our body so wants to heal itself, but it can't. So craniosacral therapy is a modality. It's a medical modality because we're dealing with the visceral, we're dealing with the fascia, we're dealing with, and I say it's cranio, the brain, and then sacrum, which is our sacral area, and it's a tube. It's a dural tube that surrounds all of that, our vertebrae, our nerves, our skull, all of that, our organs. And if we have blocks and restrictions there, then our body's not going to be as efficient as it can. In physical therapy, you have what's called referred pain. If I'm working with someone that's complaining of pain in their arm, their bicep, tricep, it's usually from their shoulder. So our body is one. So even though we have problems with our head, our let's say headaches, and I'll just give a great example that I love. There was an Olympic diver years ago that had vertigo and couldn't dive any longer. Olympian couldn't dive, couldn't figure it out. Went to osteopaths, she went to physicians, she went to neurologists. She experienced the gamut of the medical field, and they were all treating her symptoms. She went to Dr. John Upledger, who started Craniosacral, and he realized that her restrictions were from her knee. And what she realized was years prior, she banged her knee on the platform. And so that trauma remained in her knee, which caused, because our body is one, the vertigo. And once he worked with her, the vertigo released. And so then she was able to. So I know this is a long description. What I just want to say is it deals with the central nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system with the pineal gland, the vagus nerve, and all that. So it releases a lot of so many different diagnoses.
Yeah. That is awesome. Thank you so much. And I know that this gets really sciencey, and sometimes people are like, "Oh, that's a little too woo-woo for me." Um, but
Sure.
it's just information that there's another way. And I think that sometimes people get so medicine and conventional medicine fatigued that it's good for them to know that there's other modalities out there. And the example you gave is so perfect because I talk so much about stress and making sure that you are more in that parasympathetic nervous system versus the sympathetic nervous system, and how that truly, truly affects your overall health and well being. And, when we talk about symptoms, and last week I talked about different diseases and things that we are diagnosed with, and what that is actually your body telling you. And it's not always what you think it is. And that, your example of the diver with, she bumped her knee and then she had the vertigo. And then there's people that start to have chronic issues because it's never resolved. And, we can talk about different symptoms and stuff too, but the mind, when we hold on to things and traumas, and one thing that I go through is toxicity, and our emotions can be very toxic. And there's 9 toxic emotions that we tend to really, really hold on to. And when you start to understand the impact that it can have on your overall health, anger and bitterness are 2 of them. And when we start hanging on to those, it's kind of like, you drink the poison and expect the other person to die. And so, in your experience and your practice, what do you recommend besides, I know that you do the hands-on or the light touch and everything, but a lot of people probably come into you with some trauma, with unresolved trauma. And it's something that every single person experiences trauma in their life. Some of us are better than others at managing it. But what do you do? What do you recommend to people who come to you that you sense or perceive that there is this trauma that they're not letting go of? They may not realize it, but how do you work with people on that?
So before I answer your question, what I do want to say is while people are on the table with me, and I always tell them, let your body do what you need to do, what it needs to do. Let your emotions do what they need to do, no expectations, because let's be honest, people get on the table who have never had it before and they're laying down and my hands hardly touching them and they're going, oh my God, I'm paying for this, right? But a lot of the times what happens is they end up having somato emotional releases from the trauma that they have buried down so far. Or they'll be like, wait, I just saw my sister and recreated something that happened, that traumatic event. And once they release that and acknowledge it, they feel so much lighter. So
Mm-hmm.
even with cranio, they have somatic emotional releases. But not everyone is into the holistic practices. Not everyone is welcome to what our suggestions are, and we respect that, right? We always have,
Right.
Sue, you and I. But what I always tell people also is sometimes take a journal, get a piece of paper and just free write. This is how I'm feeling today. And just don't think about what you're writing. And what happens is when we really acknowledge and release that trauma, we may not even think that we're doing it. That's one great way to do that, right? Sometimes it's very hard to do these things because we don't love who we are. So it's very hard to love others. And like you were talking about, just let people go, acknowledge what happened and know that it's our lesson. I always talk about meditation or sitting in silence. I think silence is golden, and just letting your mind wander, because sometimes we need to go to those dark places to see the light, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
think that's really important. With you, we all know that eating properly allows our body to be the best our body, we only have one to live in. So to be the best that it can be, and we feel better. When we detox and clean our body feels better. And sometimes we feel stronger internally and mentally that we can take on these challenges. If we have so many struggles and challenges in life, we don't know where to go or what to start.
Right.
You
Right.
know, as a daughter who's a clinical mental health counselor, I was hesitant for it. It's very nice to have someone in a safe space or a women's circle. I know I do that
Mm-hmm.
once a month. And you're I'm so grateful you're my speaker this coming Monday night to talk about vitamins, minerals, and supplements,
Mhm.
because we women want to fit in. We want to be a part of
Mhm.
something. We want to be in a safe place where we can ask questions of things that we
Community.
ponder that we wouldn't feel comfortable that community asking. So I think those kind of things, whatever works for you, may not work for
Yeah.
someone else, but
Yeah.
you know what?
And you and I know we have to meet people where we are, and that just goes for all of humanity. Actually, it would be a good practice for everybody. So when we talk about, the different symptoms and things like that, in my world, like let's say someone has heart issues or liver issues, I know that they need to detox. I know that maybe they're having maybe even some dental issues because your mouth is connected to your heart. So a lot of people who have high blood pressure, who have some kind of heart issue, a lot of times it's because they've had some dental issues that haven't been resolved. But when you talk about releasing fascia and things like that, do you have people coming to you with specific symptoms that they're just searching for that help that they haven't been able to find?
I certainly do. But just because they're having a symptom doesn't mean that it's a typical release or a typical fix, right? So
Yeah.
I always tell people to be open, because this may sound woo woo to some people. Craniosacral therapy is allowing your inner wisdom and inner physician, which we all have, with my inner wisdom and inner physician. And so I get messages during the session. So even though someone may be complaining about that knee that they banged on the platform 3 years ago, I may be told that they need head work or mouth
Mhm.
work. And just like you were talking about with the dentist, we craniosacral practitioners actually go in the mouth and release the mandible and the maxilla and the palatines and the vomer and all that, because if everything is so tight in the
Mhm.
skull, how do our cranial nerves work properly? How does everything work properly?
Right.
So yes, I do have them fill out a form. What issues are you having? But it doesn't mean that that's the root of why they're
Mhm.
having those symptoms or those complaints.
Right. And again, root cause is really what people need to know. Why are you having that? Why is my body behaving this way? And, I talk about it ad nauseum. It's like figuring out why these things are happening. And, we all, I always talk about our bodies are like our car. Our car has a check engine light. Our body has actually three check engine lights. And when they go off, it's either in our mental, our physical, or our spiritual health. And just like our car check engine light, we ignore it. And, paying attention to those signals that your body is giving you, and what is it saying? And, a lot of people don't trust natural modalities because we've been so what's the word I want? Indoctrinated
Conditioned.
in, yes. And it's, from the time you're born, basically, well, depending on the year you're born. We were a little bit more natural than they are now. But, you're being told that there's a pill for every ill, and if your body is giving you a signal as a symptom, then it's messing up and you need to put a band-aid on the symptom. When really and truly the bottom line is your body is the symptom it's giving you is actually what it's doing. So like high blood pressure, it's trying to move that oxygen through your blood because there's something that needs attention. And it's not, and I use high blood pressure and I use high cholesterol as an example because what is the statistic? 80% of people are on statin or high blood pressure medication.
Mhm.
And it's putting a Band-Aid on the symptoms. It's not actually correcting what's going on. And so, taking a pill is going to cause other situations because there's side effects. And so if you don't correct what is literally going on in your body, then you're just going to have to keep taking another pill and another pill and another pill. And so functional lab testing is really the number one way that I work with people and figuring out what the root cause is of what's going on. And 9 times out of 10, it can be corrected very naturally and with better nutrition. And you're a holistic nutritionist. And is that something that, when you're talking to patients, do you coach them on, how do you eat? Do you get sunshine?
It's funny you say that because many years ago I had a woman who was diabetic and her cholesterol was really high and she was supposed to be on a low fat diet. And her daughter brought her Burger King for lunch. And so we talked about that. And then I said, "What are you going to have for dinner?" And she said, "Oh, I'm going to have cream of mushroom soup." So I went through ingredients and she goes, "Oh, but I'm diluting it with milk." So I went in her refrigerator and read what she was adding to the cream of mushroom,
Mhm.
thinking that she was diluting. And she actually called and complained about me talking about
Oh,
nutrition. And I ended up getting written up because that's not a part of being a physical therapist where it really is.
yeah.
So I tread lightly, but I am always talking about the importance of water. I'm always talking about electrolytes. I'm always showing them sodium in their
Mhm.
diet, especially if they're on low sodium, just to educate them
Yeah.
from a not a holistic nutritionist standpoint, but the knowledge of being a holistic nutritionist.
Mhm.
And it's it's very important. We talked about walking and the exercise and the sunshine and the vitamins. And half of these people I find it just breaks my heart because I'll have a total knee patient that's 5'3", 260 pounds
Mhm.
on all of these medications, and then they have a list of supplements that I have to add to their medication reconciliation, which to me, I even want to know why they're taking them. Let's start
Mhm.
with proper eating and that kind of stuff. Or the fibromyalgia patient. All of my patients have this that are on many medications that
Mhm.
they accept it because the doctor said they have it and the doctor put them on these medications instead of looking at the root and taking a step back. So as a physical therapist, I incorporate all that as best as I can within my realm of being a physical therapist and the parameters so that I don't get
Mhm.
written up again
Right.
kind of
Right.
thing. But absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we talk about the root and no
Mhm.
pain, no gain. I hate that. And I tell them pain is a way of telling your body something's going on.
Right.
So I always discuss that as
Yeah.
well.
Excuse me. Yeah, and it's like I don't want this to be a doctor bashing session because I have many
Absolutely.
doctors in my life that I love and respect, and they weren't trained. It's not their fault. Nutrition, when you're going through medical school, is such a teeny tiny, maybe a 1 day session, in all of your years. So it's not like we're, medicine bad, holistic good kind of thing, but there you definitely need to take a look and maybe change your mind a little bit about how you view your body. And I want to say, and I want to task people with, if you are sitting with your conventional doctor, and I go to my doctor, I need to get my blood work done once a year just like everybody else. But if you're sitting with your doctor getting results and they're not asking you what your lifestyle is like, are you sedentary? Do you eat high processed food diet? If they're not asking you those questions, then I would say maybe find a new doctor because there are many, many Western conventional medicine doctors that are starting to jump on the bandwagon with us.
Mhm.
And we can work hand in hand. I have clients that are cancer patients. I'm working with their oncologists, and we're working together hand in hand so that we can support the body as a whole. So this isn't a doctor bad, and it's frustrating for people like us who are in the holistic realm because we've studied that part ad nauseum. whereas they've studied, different parts for hours and hours. So I don't want to make it sound like we're against medicine. And
No,
as
Sue,
people know,
if I could interrupt,
yeah,
sorry. I am
absolutely.
such an
No.
advocate of collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
because what I've always said to you, your knowledge in integrative health blows me away, and I would love to have your knowledge. But yet, some people would love to have my knowledge as a
Mm-hmm.
holistic nutritionist, and we've spoken about that.
Yeah.
And I think collaboration is key. I have a client that I work with Cranio that comes to me often because her jaw is out, but she also goes to a chiropractor. She also
Mm-hmm.
works with you as an integrative health practitioner. Like, we don't know everything, but
Yeah.
if you take that puzzle, its many pieces, and put it together, maybe something that you think is woo woo or holistic may be the missing piece to complete that
Right.
puzzle. And I think it's so important that we, and as Americans, well, all over the world, but I think it'd be important if people were more open, because
Mm-hmm.
what's working hasn't worked. If you look
Right.
at the amount of obesity and diabetes and look at the nutrition, look at the ingredients from 30
Mm-hmm.
years ago to now, it's not working. So who
Exactly.
can I use to educate me
Mm-hmm.
to
Yes.
become a better version of me?
Exactly. And I love that, Marcy. I thank you for adding that, because that's exactly why we do what we do. Because getting the message out about alternative modalities is not, sorcery and, weird stuff. We're not putting spells on people. It's just understanding that the body you have is miraculously and amazingly constructed. And it does have the power to heal itself when it's given the proper support. Now,
Right.
we've gone over a lot of different things here today, but I'm hoping that whoever is watching and listening, that the message here is that our bodies are one. Each organ, each system works together. When you start to have symptoms, it means that your body is robbing Peter to pay Paul. And that is one of the most important things that you need to understand. And when we can just start to have a holistic approach about healing, use a conventional medicine doctor, use a chiropractor, use a craniosacral, use an integrative, everything can be just combined as just a total healing process. And again, Marcy, why don't you quickly let people know if there's anyone she's in the Pennsylvania area. If anyone is interested in learning more about what she does, how can they reach you?
So, Sue, you're more than welcome to put my phone number on your page,
Mm-hmm.
if you'd like to. You can go on findyourjoywithmarcy.com,
Yeah,
and that's my
that's great.
website as well. Or marcy.stipinski@gmail.com is
Yep.
fine.
Yeah.
Even if you're not in the Pennsylvania area, I can help you find a craniosacral practitioner if you're interested.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be happy to answer questions. Always love sharing the wealth. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so important. Real quick, I was at a ministry weekend that one of my best friends, bought for me, and Marie Monville, the widow of the Lancaster shooting, um, was there, and she was
Mm-hmm.
speaking, and one of the panel members was talking about headaches and pain, and I went up to her afterwards. I said, look, I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but I'd love to help you. One other woman was talking about infidelity and the inability to get pregnant. Well, our hormones are stored in our brain, so if, like you said, if it's blocked, it's not going down there. Craniosacral helps with that. So I'd be happy to answer anyone's questions. Feel free. And if I don't
Yep.
pick up, I'm working with a patient and I'll call you back.
You're very busy, and I am so grateful that you hopped on here with me. And we'll do it
Thank you.
again, because I think that people like to hear about this. And if anybody would like to look at past podcasts, just go to YouTube, the Reinvented Life Network. Hello, your health is calling. One of the things that I say over and over again is your health is not a hobby. And if you're either going to pay now or pay later, I know that people want to say no, it's too expensive. But it's honestly, it's an investment in your health. And if you want to live a long, healthy life, then you need to pay attention to the signals that your body's giving you. And if it's giving you a signal through a symptom, then please answer it. Because if your health is calling, you need to answer it. So thank you, Marci. Thank you, everyone, for watching today. And I
Thank
will
you for
see you
having me.
next week. Yep. Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you for tuning in to another empowering episode of Hello, Your Health is Calling with Sue Kostyk. Remember, your health journey is ongoing, and we're here to support you every step of the way. If you have any questions, insights, or stories to share, don't hesitate to reach out. You can connect with us on social media or call in live at 888-994-4995 Studio A. Together, we're transforming lives and embracing holistic well-being. Until next time, prioritize your health and remember, your health is calling.